Welcome to Perfection Bakeries. During the next several minutes, we'll show you how Perfection has grown over the years into one of the finest bakeries in the world. You'll learn Perfection's history, how we bake our delicious breads, and how our commitment to quality makes every one of our products a true slice of perfection. In 1901, John B. Franke founded the Wayne Biscuit Company in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Soon, the company developed a reputation for baking the best crackers, breads, cakes, and cookies around. Of course, Mr. Franke wouldn't have it any other way. He believed if the finest ingredients were used to bake his products, then those products would meet his goal of perfection. That's why in 1904, the bakery was renamed the Perfection Biscuit Company. Over the years, Perfection Biscuit introduced many new and innovative products to the marketplace. In 1923, Perfection Biscuit was the first bakery in Indiana to offer wrapped bread to its loyal customers. From 1927 to 1940, Perfection expanded and began developing new products and started selling them outside Indiana. Perfection even introduced sliced bread to this area. Under the expert leadership of J.B. Franke's son-in-law, H. Leslie Popp Sr., Perfection Biscuit's success continued throughout the 40s and 50s. To meet the growing demand for its delicious products, the company grew rapidly during the 1960s. Through the foresight of H. Leslie Popp Jr., Perfection began acquiring other bakeries. In 1961, it procured the Muncie Bread Company. The Schaefer Bakeries, located in Michigan, joined Perfection in 1964. In 1965, Perfection acquired the Gase Baking Company in Saginaw, Michigan. Over the past 25 years, Perfection's history of growth has continued. In 1978, the baking facilities at the corporate headquarters of the company in Fort Wayne were renovated. In 1980, John F. Popp, a grandson of Perfection's founder, was named president. Shortly thereafter, the Way Baking Company in Jackson, Michigan joined Perfection. In 1990, a brand new bakery was built in Coldwater, Michigan, and the company officially changed its name to Perfection Bakeries Incorporated. During 1997, Perfection acquired a bakery in Sydney, Ohio, and in 1998, a second bakery was added in Coldwater, Michigan. Today, nearly 100 years after it was founded, Perfection has grown from a local baking company to a multi-state operation that runs 7 bakeries and distributes its many different brands and products throughout Indiana, Ohio, Michigan, Illinois, and Kentucky. And soon Perfection will expand into other Midwest states as well. Now that you know the history of Perfection Bakeries, we'd like to show you what Perfection does best: bake delicious, healthful bread products that you and your family love. Perfection Bakeries makes dozens of different types of bread each week. The entire baking process starts right here in the mixer. Perfection's professional bakers combine flour, water, yeast, and shortening for about 5 minutes until all the ingredients are properly mixed. Then the dough is dumped into a huge trough, which is taken to Perfection's fermenting area. Here, the dough sits and expands for a total of 4 hours. The yeast in the dough makes it rise, and it becomes filled with air bubbles. That's why bakers call rising dough sponge. In fact, if you were to cut the dough, it would look a lot like a real sponge. After the dough is risen, it's returned to the mixer, where additional flour and other special ingredients are added. These may be honey, oats, wheat flour, or rye flour, depending on the type of bread Perfection is baking that hour. While the dough is being mixed, one of Perfection's employees generously sprays the baking trough with vegetable oil, so it's ready to receive the newly mixed dough. At Perfection's bakeries, a new batch of dough is prepared about every 10 minutes. Once the trough has been filled with dough, it's taken to the divider. The trough is carefully hoisted, and the dough is released into the machine. The dough in each of these troughs weighs almost 1 ton. That's enough dough to make about 1,400 loaves of bread. The divider cuts the dough into evenly shaped and weighed bundles that in just a few hours will be delicious loaves of Perfection bread. Next, the dough moves along a conveyor belt to the rounder. Here, it's shaped into rounds and lightly coated with flour. Then, as the portions of dough leave the rounder, they're randomly weighed to ensure that each one is the correct weight. In fact, our employees are so careful they make sure each loaf weighs within 1/10 of an ounce of all the other loaves, or it's rejected. The dough then is placed on a series of conveyor belts. The floured rounds of dough relax about 2 minutes as they move throughout the bakery. Once again, Perfection's employees randomly inspect the rounds to make sure each loaf has perfect texture, consistency, and form. Our strict quality control means each loaf of our bread always meets your expectations. After relaxing on the belts, the rounds travel to the sheeter. Here, they're flattened by a machine that acts like a giant rolling pin to remove any gas bubbles. Then, they travel under a pressure board that seals the dough and rolls the dough into perfectly sized loaves. Each loaf is carefully placed in a pan, which is taken to the final proofer, where the dough slowly rises and is prepared to be baked. There are 5 loaves to a pan, 10 pans on a shelf, and 224 shelves. That's more than 11,000 loaves of bread waiting to go to the oven. The heat and humidity are carefully controlled, so each loaf rises to just the right height and consistency. This takes nearly an hour. As the loaves leave the proofer, they're once again inspected for consistency, texture, and form. If they don't meet Perfection's rigorous quality standards, the loaves are discarded and recycled. Just before going to the oven, Perfection's bakers put the finishing touches on the loaves. If it's a split-top bread, a high-pressure stream of water is sprayed on the loaves to create the valley in the top of the crust. This is also the time when any toppings are added. Now the loaves are ready to go to the oven. The oven's set at 450 degrees, and it takes about 17 minutes to bake the bread. Perfection's oven can bake 3,400 loaves of bread at one time. When the bread is baked to perfection, it's placed on a conveyor belt and taken from the oven. Notice the golden brown crusts on those loaves of bread. That's a sign of Perfection quality. After leaving the oven, the freshly baked loaves are taken to the depanner. There, gentle suction cups lift the loaves from the pans and place them on a conveyor to cool. As the bread cools, each loaf will travel nearly 1 mile around the Perfection bakery. This takes about 50 minutes. During that time, the used bread pans are cleaned and neatly stacked for later use. As the bread is cooling, it passes through yet another inspection point. This time the loaves move through a metal detector, which rejects any loaf that has a foreign object in it. A few minutes later, the bread travels to the packaging room, where approximately 200 loaves are sliced and bagged each minute. Once in the packaging room, the bread runs through the slicer. At Perfection, we sharpen the slicer's blades every hour so that each slice of bread is perfect. To ensure quality, loaves of bread are again randomly inspected for texture, taste, form, and purity. Our bakers make sure each loaf of bread is good enough to bear the Perfection name. Now the bread is ready to be bagged. Special machines gently wrap each loaf in a brightly colored bag, mark the bag with a freshness date, and seal each bag with a unique twist tie. We take special care with our bread so you, our loyal customers, always know that you're getting the freshest bread available. After being bagged, robots line the loaves in desired patterns and load them in baskets to protect them. The baskets are taken to the stacker. The stacker gently places one basket on top of another to prepare it for shipping. It moves slowly, so the bread is not damaged in any way. Once the baskets are stacked and ready, another robot loads them on a dolly, which is taken to the shipping area. Perfection Shipping Crew is responsible for sorting and filling the hundreds of customer orders which Perfection receives every day from grocery stores, convenience stores, schools, restaurants, and all the other places where people like you buy or eat Perfection bread. The shipping crew then loads the order on one of Perfection's delivery trucks. Box trucks deliver bread to local stops, and our fleet of large transport trucks deliver Perfection's baked goods to our branch depots. Perfection's sales force delivers fresh bread and other bakery products to stores throughout Indiana, Ohio, Michigan, Illinois, and Kentucky,
so you always can enjoy fresh Perfection bread. You've just seen how Perfection makes bread. But did you know Perfection also makes lots of other baked goods? Our bakers make hot dog and hamburger buns, dinner rolls, breadsticks, donuts, deli buns, bagels, and bread mixes. Perfection not only bakes dozens of different types of products, we package them under many different brands and names. Maybe you recognize some of them. Aunt Millie's, Sunbeam, Hillbilly Bread, Kitchen Cupboard, Marsh, Meyer. And in Michigan, we bake Schaefer and Wholesome. And we deliver these products all over the Midwest, from Fort Wayne to Detroit, Columbus to Cincinnati, Champaign to Louisville, even to little towns called Schoolcraft, Paw Paw, and Farmland. As you've seen, Perfection Bakeries has a history of growth and success. The reason is simple. From our first day nearly 100 years ago, Perfection has done everything possible to be the best bakery around. We only use the best ingredients, hire the best people, build the best bakeries, and make the best products. That's why our name says it all.